Chapter 1. The Mystery of Sacred Sexual Energy in Twin Flame Connections. Have you ever wondered why some encounters shake you to your very core? Why a single glance, a subtle touch, or even a dream of someone could ignite an entire firestorm inside you? Not only in your body but in your very soul. Most people think of sex as something purely physical, a release of hormones, a basic biological act. But what if I told you that there exists a dimension of intimacy so profound, so transformative, that it can alter your entire spiritual journey? This is what we call sacred sexual energy, and when it flows between twin flames, it transcends the boundaries of the body. It becomes a divine force that opens doorways to higher consciousness, healing, and soul union. The hook, beyond physical desire. Picture this. Two people meet and instantly there's a spark. Not the kind of spark you feel on a date after a few glasses of wine, not the temporary attraction that fades after the thrill is gone. No, this spark is different. It's as if your very cells recognize each other. Your heartbeat stumbles, your skin tingles, and your soul whispers, "Home." Why does it feel this way? Why does it feel like your body is on fire but your spirit is calm at the same time? This is the paradox of twin flame energy. Pulls you into passion, yet lifts you into divinity. It awakens desire, yet calls you toward purity. It feels human, yet profoundly cosmic. Sacred sexual energy is not simply about making love. It's about becoming love. The deeper mystery. In our world, sexuality has often been reduced to pleasure, conquest, or taboo. We are told, it's just chemistry, just hormones, just biology. And yes, on one level, that is true. But anyone who has touched the depth of twin flame connection knows there is a more that cannot be explained by science alone. Sacred sexual energy is the recognition that sex is not just a physical act. It is an exchange of life force. It is a prayer without words. It is two souls merging into one vibration. When twin flames come together, this energy is amplified 1,000 times. It is not simply two bodies meeting. It is two halves of the same soul remembering their wholeness. And this remembrance activates something powerful. The Kundalini. The Kundalini. Awakening. The word Kundalini comes from ancient Sanskrit, describing the coiled serpent of energy at the base of our spine. For most of us, this serpent sleeps. But when twin flames connect, whether through physical intimacy, emotional closeness, or even soul recognition from a distance, this serpent stirs. Suddenly, energy rushes upward through the chakras. The body trembles, the heart expands, and the mind quiets. Many describe it as a heat rising, or as lightning bolts shooting through their veins. But here's the deeper truth. Kundalini rising is not about sex itself. It is about union. And sex, when sacred, becomes the catalyst that awakens it. An example. Let me share an illustration. Imagine two instruments, say a violin and a piano, played alone. Each produces beautiful sound, but when tuned perfectly together, they create harmony that shakes the entire room. That's what happens when twin flames merge. Their bodies are the instruments, but the music is not physical. The music is energy. The music is love. And that love vibrates not only between them but outward, touching everyone around them. This is why people in deep twin flame unions often radiate a glow that others notice. It's not because of physical beauty. It's because of energetic beauty. A rhetorical pause. So let me ask you, when you think about sexuality, are you seeing it as a temporary pleasure, or as a portal? Do you see your body as just flesh, or as a sacred temple that channels divine currents? And most importantly, could it be that what you thought was desire was really the soul calling you back to its other half? Misconceptions. Of course, many people misunderstand this. They think, oh, twin flame sex must be the best sex ever. They imagine fireworks, endless passion, movie-like romance. But here's the twist. Sacred sexual energy is not always easy. In fact, it can be terrifying, because it strips you bare. Not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually, karmically. When you merge with your twin flame, all your hidden wounds, all your suppressed traumas, all your unhealed parts rise to the surface. This is why many twin flame connections go through separation after moments of intimacy. The energy is so strong it forces you to confront yourself. So is it bliss? Yes, but it is also shadow. It is also healing. It is also work. The invitation. In this video, as we journey through the layers of sacred sexual energy, I invite you to pause and reflect. Have you ever felt intimacy that went beyond the body? Have you ever sensed energy rising, expanding, flowing in ways you couldn't explain? Have you mistaken physical craving for spiritual connection? Or have you dared to step beyond into the mystery of sacred union? Because here's the truth. Sacred sexual energy is not about finding someone to complete you. It is about awakening the wholeness already within you, and then allowing it to dance with the reflection of your soul. A closing whisper for Chapter 1. So, as we begin this exploration, remember this. Sacred sexual energy is not dirty. It is not shameful. It is not merely animalistic. It is divine. It is the same force that births galaxies, moves oceans, and paints sunsets. It is the creative pulse of the universe itself. And when it flows through twin flames, it doesn't just change their relationship, changes their lives. So are you ready to go deeper? Chapter 2. What is sacred sexual energy? When most people hear the word sex, the mind instantly goes to the physical. Bodies touching, chemistry igniting, pleasure peaking. Society has conditioned us to see sexuality as a physical act, a fleeting moment of passion, or even a transaction. But sacred sexual energy is something radically different. It is not about conquest. It is not about fleeting satisfaction. It is not even primarily about the body. So then, what is it? Let's begin by stripping away the illusions. 1. The essence of sacred sexual energy. At its core, sacred sexual energy is the life force itself. It is the energy that creates. The energy that gives birth to universes, children, ideas, and even spiritual awakenings. Think about it. Every human life begins with a spark of sexual energy, but that energy doesn't vanish after conception. It continues to flow inside each of us. It is the creative current that inspires art, music, inventions, and even spiritual insights. When we call it sacred, we are recognizing that sexuality is not profane. It is holy. It is one of the most powerful forces in existence, meant not just for reproduction, but for transformation. 2. Energy, not just act. So many people confuse sexuality with intercourse. But intercourse is just one doorway, and not even the deepest one. Sacred sexual energy exists whether you are alone or with a partner. It exists whether or not you are physically intimate. It is the vibration of desire that rises not only in your body, but in your spirit. Have you ever felt aroused without being touched, simply by a look, a word, or even a thought? Have you ever felt your entire body tremble in meditation or prayer, as if an invisible current was running through you? That is sexual energy manifesting in its pure form. And when it is directed with love, awareness, and intention, it becomes sacred. 3. The role in twin flame connection. Nowhere is this truth more powerful than in the twin flame journey. When twin flames meet, sacred sexual energy doesn't simply happen. It erupts. Why? Because the soul recognizes its mirror. The body is only responding to a deeper truth. This is me. This is the other half of my own essence. Unlike ordinary attraction, which can fade with time, sacred sexual energy between twin flames is not dependent on looks, age, or circumstances. Even in separation, even when physically apart, the current continues to flow. People describe dreaming of their twin flame and waking up as if they had been physically intimate. Others describe feeling waves of heat or pleasure when their counterpart is thinking of them. This is not fantasy. This is energy. 4. The contrast 3D versus 5D sexuality. To truly understand sacred sexual energy, we must look at the contrast. In the 3D world, the everyday physical dimension, sex is often driven by lust, ego gratification, emotional escape, temporary satisfaction. It is about taking pleasure, taking comfort, taking validation. But in the 5D, the spiritual dimension of unconditional love, sex is transformed. It is about giving energy, giving presence, giving soul. Sacred sexual energy is not about, what can I get from this? But rather, What can I become through this? Ask yourself, when you think about intimacy, are you seeking escape from loneliness, or are you opening yourself to transformation? 5. The symbol of union. Sacred sexual energy is not just personal. It is archetypal. It represents the eternal dance of masculine and feminine, yin and yang, light and shadow. When twin flames merge, whether in body, heart, or soul, they are reenacting the cosmic union of creation itself. Their energy exchange is symbolic of the universe breathing itself into being. This is why many cultures throughout history viewed sex as sacred. From Tantra in India to Taoist practices in China, from ancient temple rituals to mystical poetry, sexuality was seen not as sin, but as sacrament. Twin flames are the modern reminder of this ancient truth. 6. Misinterpretations and traps. But here lies a danger. Many people, upon hearing about twin flames and sacred sexual energy, immediately think, oh, then the ultimate proof of my twin flame is the best sex of my life. This is a trap. Because sacred sexual energy is not about performance or pleasure. Yet, the physical can be intense, almost overwhelming. But the essence is not orgasm. It is awakening. So how do you know the difference? If you leave an encounter feeling drained, empty, or confused, that is not sacred energy. If you leave feeling expanded, inspired, and closer to your own soul mission, that is sacred. Sacred sexual energy always lifts, always heals, always transforms. 7. An example for reflection. Imagine you are standing before a fire. If you approach it carelessly, it burns you. If you try to control it, it rages out of hand. But if you respect it, if you honor it, if you tend to it with awareness, it warms you, nourishes you, and sustains you. Sacred sexual energy is the same. Misused, it can lead to obsession, dependency, even destruction. Honored, it becomes the very flame that lights your spiritual path. 8. Sacred sexual energy beyond the bedroom. Here's another misconception. People think sacred sexual energy is only relevant when two bodies come together. But in truth, this energy flows into every aspect of your life. The same energy that surges when you are with your twin flame can fuel your art, your writing, your work, your mission. It can inspire healing, compassion, and creativity. It can even be cultivated through practices like breathwork, yoga, meditation, and conscious celibacy. The point is not to suppress sexual energy, but to transmute it, to transform desire into devotion, passion into purpose. 9. The bigger purpose. In the twin flame journey, sacred sexual energy is never just for the two people involved. It is for the collective. When twin flames raise their vibration through sacred union, they radiate frequencies that ripple outward, touching the consciousness of the planet. They balance the energies of divine masculine and divine feminine, not only within themselves but within humanity as a whole. This is why twin flame connection feels so monumental. It's not just about romance. It's about service. 10. Closing reflection. So now when you hear the phrase sacred sexual energy, I invite you to shift your perspective. Do not see it as a secret technique. Do not reduce it to passion between lovers. See it for what it is. The life force that animates existence. The bridge between body and soul. The catalyst for healing and awakening. And above all, see it as a gift. A gift that, when honored, will not only bring you closer to your twin flame but closer to the divine itself. So, the question remains, will you continue to see sexuality as a fleeting indulgence? Or will you embrace it as the sacred key to transformation? Chapter 3: 3D Sexuality versus 5D Sacred Union. We live in two worlds at once. The physical, tangible, everyday dimension we call the 3D reality, and the subtle, spiritual, transcendent dimension often called the 5D reality. When it comes to intimacy, these two worlds couldn't be more different. Most of humanity operates from 3D. Sexuality, desire, gratification, and instinct. Yet twin flame connections invite us into 5D sacred union. Intimacy that transcends time, body, and ego. So what exactly is the difference? And why does it matter so much in the twin flame journey? 1. The nature of 3D sexuality. In the 3D world, sex is primarily physical pleasure, biological drive, emotional escape, ego validation. It is a place where the body seeks satisfaction, and the mind often confuses this with love. In 3D, intimacy is transactional. You make me feel good, so I give myself to you. Think about how society portrays sex. Movies glamorize it as conquest or performance. Advertising uses it as a commodity to sell products. Culture often shames or sensationalizes it. The focus is on the act itself, how it looks, how long it lasts, how exciting it feels. But rarely does 3D sexuality ask, what does this mean for my soul? 2. The limitations of 3D. Now don't misunderstand. There is nothing inherently wrong with physical pleasure. The body was designed to feel, to enjoy, to express. The problem comes when sex is reduced only to the physical. 3D sexuality can leave people feeling drained instead of nourished, used instead of cherished, empty instead of whole. That's because the energy exchange is incomplete. It begins and ends in the lower chakras: survival, desire, gratification. It rarely rises higher into the heart or soul. And this is where the twin flame connection shakes everything. 3. The invitation to 5D. When twin flames encounter each other, the old ways of experiencing intimacy no longer work. Suddenly, the body recognizes that sex is not enough. It craves something deeper, purer, more expansive. This is the call of 5D sacred union. In 5D, intimacy is an energetic merging, not just physical contact. A dance of souls, not just bodies. A bridge to higher consciousness. A prayer, not a performance. The act itself may look similar on the outside, but on the inside it is profoundly different. 4. Characteristics of 5D sacred union. So, what does 5D intimacy actually feel like? Here are a few markers. Presence over performance. In 5D, it's not about how skilled you are or how long it lasts. It's about being fully present with your partner, breathing together, existing in the same timeless now. Energy beyond the body. Many describe feeling waves of energy moving through the chakras, surges of light, or vibrations that extend beyond the skin. Heart activation. Unlike 3D, which stays in the lower centers, 5D always passes through the heart. You feel love, safety, and expansion, not just arousal. Union with the divine. Some twin flames report moments where the boundary between you and me dissolves and both feel united with something larger: God, source, the universe itself. 5. Example for contrast. Let's illustrate. In 3D, imagine two people meeting at a bar. They feel attraction, go home together and spend the night. The next morning they may feel satisfied, or perhaps empty, awkward, or disconnected. The encounter served a purpose, temporary pleasure, but rarely changes their lives. In 5D, imagine two twin flames meeting after years apart. As they embrace, the air itself seems to vibrate. Their hearts pound, their breath synchronizes. When they kiss, it's not just lips touching. It feels like lifetimes merging. Later, whether or not they are physically intimate, both walk away changed. They feel seen, healed, awakened. That's the difference. One fades, the other transforms. 6. Rhetorical pause. Ask yourself, have you ever felt intimacy that made you feel smaller, emptier afterward? And have you ever felt intimacy that made you feel more alive, more whole, more connected to everything? That's the difference between 3D and 5D. So the question becomes, which one are you seeking? 7. Why 5D can feel overwhelming. But here's a truth we often avoid. 5D sacred union is not always easy. Can feel overwhelming, even terrifying. Why? Because 5D intimacy demands authenticity. You cannot hide behind masks or games. Your wounds, fears, and shadows rise to the surface. Sacred union is not just about pleasure. It is about purification. That's why many twin flame connections go through cycles of union and separation. The intensity of 5D energy forces healing, and healing takes time. 8. The trap of confusion. Many people confuse 3D passion with 5D union. They think, if the sex is amazing, it must be sacred. But remember, sacred sexual energy is not about intensity alone. It is about transformation. 3D passion may excite you, but 5D union expands you. The test is simple. If intimacy leaves you exhausted, addicted, or confused, it's 3D. If intimacy leaves you healed, inspired, and aligned with your soul mission, it's 5D. 9 practical shifts toward 5D. So how can you shift from 3D sexuality to 5D sacred union? Mindfulness. Instead of rushing, slow down. Feel every breath, every heartbeat, every gaze. Heart focus. Place your awareness on love, not just desire. Energy practices. Use meditation, breathwork, or tantra to expand beyond the body. Intention. Enter intimacy not just to satisfy but to merge, to heal, to elevate. The shift is less about what you do and more about how you do it. 10. Closing reflection. In the end, 3D and 5D sexuality are not enemies. They are stages on the same path. 3D shows us the raw force of desire. 5D reveals its divine potential. Twin flames are here to bridge the two, to show the world that sex is not just survival, not just pleasure, but a sacred portal to union with the divine. So, as you reflect on your own journey, are you content with the fleeting thrill of 3D? Or are you ready to step into the eternal fire of 5D? Chapter 4. The role of Kundalini in twin flame sacred sexual energy. When twin flames come together, something extraordinary happens. It is not only the body that awakens. It is not only the heart that bursts open. Deep within, at the very base of the spine, a sacred fire stirs. This fire has a name, Kundalini. And once it rises, nothing in your life will ever be the same again. 1. What is Kundalini? In ancient Sanskrit, Kundalini means the coiled one. It is often symbolized as a serpent sleeping at the root chakra, the base of the spine. For most people, this energy lies dormant their entire lives. But when awakened, it uncoils. It rises. It surges upward. Through the chakras, the body's energy centers, and ignites transformation on every level. Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Mystics, yogis, and spiritual seekers have pursued Kundalini awakening for centuries. Some train through breathwork, meditation, or ascetic practices for decades to feel even a spark. And yet, in a twin flame connection, it can happen suddenly, spontaneously, uncontrollably. 2. Why twin flames trigger Kundalini? So why is Kundalini so closely tied to sacred sexual energy in twin flames? Because twin flames are mirrors. When they meet, it's as if two magnets of the same soul come face to face. Their union creates an energetic circuit, and the dormant serpent at the base of the spine responds instantly. Think of it like this: your twin flame is not just a lover. They are your soul's other pole, the missing charge. When the poles connect, energy doesn't just flow, it erupts. And that eruption is Kundalini rising. 3 signs of Kundalini awakening in twin flame union. Many describe this experience with awe and bewilderment. Some common signs include heat or fire, a sensation of warmth, even burning, starting from the base of the spine and moving upward. Energy currents, pulses, tingles, or waves of electricity through the body. Expanded heart, sudden overwhelming love, compassion, or joy. Visionary experiences, vivid dreams, spiritual visions, or heightened intuition. Physical reactions, trembling, spontaneous movements, or even tears and laughter without explanation. But perhaps the most profound sign is this: you no longer see intimacy as only physical. You feel that every touch, every breath, every union is opening you to the divine. 4. The dual nature of Kundalini. Yet here lies the paradox. Kundalini is both ecstasy and upheaval. When it flows freely, it brings bliss, healing, creativity, and enlightenment. But if blocked or resisted, it can cause chaos, emotional purges, physical discomfort, even spiritual crises. This is why many twin flame journeys are so turbulent. The energy is too strong to ignore. Old wounds rise. Hidden traumas resurface. The body and psyche resist the fire of transformation. And yet, that very fire is what purifies. 5. A story illustration. Imagine a forest long overgrown with dead branches, fallen leaves, and tangled weeds. For years, it has suffocated, unable to grow freely. Then a fire sweeps through. At first, it looks destructive, flames consuming everything. But afterward, the soil is fertile, the air is clear, and new life can emerge. This is Kundalini, It burns away what no longer serves. It clears the path for new growth. When twin flames unite, they ignite this fire within each other. Can feel like destruction of ego, of illusions, of attachments, but in truth it is rebirth. 6. Sexual energy as the spark. Now, how does this connect to sacred sexual energy? Because Kundalini is sexual energy, the raw life force at its core. But when honored, directed, and awakened through love, it becomes sacred. When twin flames engage in intimacy, it is not simply an act of desire. It is an alchemical process. Each kiss, each breath, each merging of bodies stirs the serpent awake. This is why twin flame intimacy often feels explosive, overwhelming, even mystical. It's not just chemistry. It's Kundalini. 7. The connection with chakras. As Kundalini rises, it travels through the chakras, each one unlocking lessons and healings. Root chakra. Safety, grounding, survival. Old fears of abandonment are triggered and healed. Sacral chakra. Creativity, pleasure, sexuality. Wounds of shame or repression are released. Solar plexus. Power, confidence, self-worth. Ego. Clashes, control issues, and self-doubt rise. Heart chakra. Love, compassion, forgiveness. The heart expands beyond conditional love. Throat chakra. Expression, truth. Twin flames are urged to speak their authentic voice. Third eye vision, intuition. Dreams, synchronicities, and psychic insights intensify. Crown chakra. Union with the divine. At the peak, intimacy becomes not only between two, but with Source itself. This is why twin flame sacred union is not just personal. It is spiritual evolution embodied. 8. The challenges. Of course, with great energy comes great challenge. Kundalini awakening can cause emotional turbulence, sudden mood swings, grief or anger rising. Physical symptoms. Insomnia, headaches, pressure in the head or spine. Spiritual confusion. Questioning reality, feeling disoriented, or sensing other realms. It can be disorienting, even frightening, if one does not understand what is happening. Many twin flames during separation phases are in fact learning to integrate Kundalini energy. 9. Practices to navigate Kundalini awakening. So how can one move through this process with grace? Breathwork. Conscious breathing helps regulate energy flow. Meditation. Stillness allows the body to integrate rather than resist. Grounding. Walking in nature, eating nourishing foods, connecting to the earth. Creative expression. Channeling the fire into art, writing, or music. Compassion. Remembering that the process is not punishment but purification. Sacred sexual energy, when aligned with love and intention, helps Kundalini flow smoothly instead of chaotically. 10. Closing reflection. Kundalini is not something to fear. It is the birthright of every soul. But in twin flame connections it becomes the great awakener, the force that strips away illusions and calls you into your truest self. So next time you feel the fire rising, whether in a dream of your twin flame, in a physical embrace, or in a meditation, do not resist. Honor it. Breathe with it. Let it transform you. Because this is the sacred gift of Kundalini. It doesn't just awaken passion. It awakens purpose. It doesn't just make you burn. It makes you become light. Chapter 5. The connection between body and soul in twin flame sacred sexual energy. When we speak of intimacy, most people think of the body, skin against skin, the warmth of touch, the rhythm of breath. But when twin flames come together, intimacy is no longer just a matter of the physical body. It becomes a bridge, a sacred channel between body and soul. This chapter is about that bridge, about how sacred sexual energy transforms ordinary physical connection into a multidimensional experience that involves aura, spirit, and the essence of the soul itself. 1. The illusion of separation. For most of our lives, we live in the illusion that body and soul are separate. Society tells us the body is physical, the soul is spiritual. They belong to different worlds. But the twin flame journey shatters that illusion. When you are with your mirror soul, you realize the truth. The body is not separate from spirit. It is spirit made visible. Every cell, every nerve ending, every heartbeat is a vessel for the soul's expression. And sacred sexual energy is the language through which body and soul speak to one another. 2. Beyond the skin. Think about a time you hugged someone you loved deeply. Didn't it feel as if the embrace went beyond the skin? As if your hearts touched, your energies merged. Your souls recognized each other? Now multiply that by 1,000, and you have a glimpse of twin flame intimacy. In such moments, the aura, the energy field around the body, expands. Some describe seeing colors or lights around their partner. Others simply feel waves of energy radiating between them, as if invisible hands were caressing their spirit. This is the soul speaking through the body. 3. The symphony of two instruments. Let me give you an image. Imagine two musical instruments, say a violin and a cello. Played separately, each produces its own sound. But when played together in harmony, they create a resonance that neither could achieve alone. In the same way, when twin flames merge physically, their bodies are instruments, but the music is not physical. The music is energy. The music is soul. The vibrations of one body resonate with the other, creating a field of energy so powerful that it feels like the entire universe is listening. 4. The meeting of masculine and feminine. This connection is also the sacred dance of divine masculine and divine feminine energies. The body expresses the masculine through strength, structure, grounding. The body expresses the feminine through flow, receptivity, surrender. But these are not about gender. They are about energy. In sacred union, these polarities weave together, the masculine holding space, the feminine flowing into it. When harmonized, they create balance not just for the couple but for the collective consciousness. The body becomes the temple. The soul becomes the prayer. 5. Healing through the body. Here is something rarely spoken of. The body carries memory. Every wound, every trauma, every rejection is stored not only in the mind but also in the muscles, the tissues, the nervous system. When twin flames meet, their intimacy often triggers these memories. A gentle touch may bring tears. A kiss may unleash buried grief. A moment of surrender may stir old fears of abandonment. This can feel overwhelming, but it is also profoundly healing. Because sacred sexual energy allows the soul to speak through the body and release what was hidden. The body becomes the gateway through which the soul is liberated. 6. An example. Consider a woman who has always carried shame around her body. She never felt beautiful enough, worthy enough. Every relationship reinforced this wound. But with her twin flame, when he touches her, something shifts. She does not just feel desired. She feels seen. The touch is not about possession, it is about recognition. Her body for the first time feels like home. In that moment, her soul begins to heal. The body is no longer a prison of shame. It is the vessel of divine love. 7. The mirror effect. Of course, this connection also exposes shadows. Because twin flames are mirrors, intimacy can bring out insecurities, jealousy, fear of rejection. But here is the paradox. These shadows are not obstacles. They are invitations. The soul uses the body to show what still needs healing. A rejection may reopen childhood wounds. A misunderstanding may trigger fear of abandonment. But through awareness, these wounds can finally be faced and healed. Thus, the body is not only a vehicle of pleasure, but also a mirror of truth. 8. Rhetorical pause. So let me ask you, have you ever felt intimacy that made you cry? Not from pain but from release? Have you ever felt your entire being soften in the arms of another, as if you finally belonged? Have you ever realized that your body was not just yours, but a bridge connecting your soul to the universe itself? If so, you've touched the essence of what twin flame intimacy truly is. 9. The expansion beyond. 2. Perhaps the most mysterious part of this connection is that it doesn't stay confined to the couple. When twin flames connect on the soul level through their bodies, their energy expands outward. Their union becomes a beacon. People around them may feel uplifted, inspired, or healed simply by being in their presence. This is because their sacred sexual energy harmonizes not only their personal field but also contributes to the collective frequency of humanity. The body becomes the altar, the soul becomes the offering, and the world receives the blessing. 10. Closing. Reflection. So what is the connection between body and soul in twin flame sacred sexual energy? It is the realization that the body is not just flesh and bone. It is the vessel of spirit. It is the understanding that intimacy is not just passion but prayer. It is the awakening that every kiss, every embrace, every union is an act of creation, not just for the couple, but for the evolution of the soul itself. When twin flames come together, they don't just make love. They become love. They don't just touch bodies. They touch eternity. Chapter 6. Healing through sacred sexual energy in twin flame connection. When most people hear the word healing, they imagine therapy sessions, meditation practices, or perhaps quiet moments of solitude. Rarely do they think of intimacy, of sexuality, as a pathway to deep healing. And yet, for twin flames, sacred sexual energy is one of the most profound healing forces available. This energy does not simply ignite passion. It shines a light into the darkest corners of the soul, bringing hidden wounds to the surface and transforming pain into power. 1. Why healing is central in the twin flame journey. At its core, the twin flame connection is not about romance. It is about growth. It is about becoming whole. When two halves of the same soul reunite, everything unhealed rises to the surface. Childhood traumas, ancestral wounds, insecurities, fears. All of it comes into the light. Why? Because union requires wholeness. You cannot merge fully with your twin flame while still carrying heavy chains from the past. And sacred sexual energy becomes the catalyst that brings these chains into awareness. 2. The body as a storage of wounds. Science tells us the body stores memory. Trauma is not only in the mind, it lives in the muscles, the nervous system, even the cells. When twin flames connect physically, these memories often resurface. A touch may trigger old fears of rejection. A kiss may awaken buried grief. A moment of surrender may release shame that was held for decades. Can be overwhelming. Many twin flames wonder, why does this connection bring so much pain alongside love? The answer is simple. Because the soul is using intimacy as a mirror. It is saying, look here. This is what you need to heal before we can fully unite. 3. The role of sacred sexual energy. So how does sacred sexual energy specifically heal? Amplification. The intensity of twin flame energy magnifies what is hidden. What was once subtle becomes impossible to ignore. Release. Through the openness of intimacy, the body feels safe to release what it has carried for years. Tears flow, emotions surface, and energy blockages dissolve. Integration. The love between twin flames provides the safe container in which those wounds can be not just exposed but embraced. This is not about fixing each other. It is about creating a space where both can shed their old skins and reveal their truest selves. 4. Example of healing through intimacy. Let me share a story-like example. Imagine a man who grew up believing vulnerability was weakness. His father taught him never to cry, never to show emotion. For years he carried this armor. Then he meets his twin flame. During an intimate moment, as they merge physically and energetically, something breaks. He feels safe enough to let go. Tears flood out of him, not because of sadness, but because decades of suppressed emotion finally have permission to release. In that moment, he is not just making love. He is healing. His body, his soul, his very identity begin to realign. 5. Sacred sexual energy as shadow work. Healing in twin flame intimacy often feels like shadow work. The process of facing the parts of ourselves we usually hide. If you fear abandonment, twin flame intimacy will bring that fear up. If you carry shame, the energy will force you to confront it. If you struggle with self-worth, sacred sexual energy will demand that you recognize your value. It is not always comfortable. In fact, sometimes it feels unbearable. But it is always purposeful. Because only when the shadows are faced can the light fully shine. 6. The balance of pleasure and pain. One of the mysteries of sacred sexual energy is how it holds both ecstasy and discomfort in the same space. You may feel waves of bliss one moment, and then suddenly memories of trauma the next. This is not a contradiction. It is the very nature of healing. Think of a deep tissue massage. It hurts as knots are pressed, but afterward the body feels free. In the same way, sacred sexual energy presses on emotional knots until they release. The ecstasy is not a distraction, it is the medicine. Pleasure becomes the balm that allows the pain to surface safely. 7. Rhetorical pause. So ask yourself, have you ever felt intimacy that made you cry not because of pain, but because your soul was finally free? Have you ever felt your partner's touch not just on your skin but deep in your memories, as if they were healing wounds you never spoke of? Have you ever realized that your greatest fears are surfacing not to destroy the connection, but to deepen it? That is sacred sexual healing. 8. Collective healing through twin flames. The healing is not only personal. Twin flames carry collective wounds of family, ancestry, even humanity. When they heal through sacred sexual energy, they release patterns that go back generations, cycles of abuse, conditioning around shame, suppression of the feminine or distortion of the masculine. Their healing ripples outward, uplifting the consciousness of the collective. This is why twin flames are often described as mission couples. Their love is not just for them, it is for the world. 9. Practices for supporting healing. While much of this process happens naturally, there are ways to support it consciously. Communication. Speaking openly about what arises during intimacy creates safety and trust. Mindful intimacy. Approaching sex not as performance but as sacred practice. Breathwork and eye contact. Tools like Tantra use slow breathing and eye gazing to deepen healing. Compassionate space. Allowing emotions to surface without judgment or suppression. The goal is not perfection. It is presence. Healing happens in the willingness to stay open. 10. Closing reflection. So, healing through sacred sexual energy is not about perfect romance. It is not about fairytale passion. It is about raw truth. It is about two souls daring to use intimacy as a mirror, to see their wounds, to release their pain, to embrace their wholeness. And here lies the paradox: the very thing that terrifies us, vulnerability, exposure, surrender, is the thing that heals us. When twin flames merge in sacred sexual energy, they are not only touching bodies, they are touching wounds, they are touching scars, and in doing so, they are transforming them into light. This is why twin flame intimacy is not just an experience, it is a medicine. Chapter 7. The dangers of misunderstanding sacred sexual energy. Sacred sexual energy is one of the most powerful forces on earth. It can awaken, heal, transform, and unite. But, and this is a truth many avoid, power is always a double-edged sword. If misunderstood or misused, sacred sexual energy can lead not to awakening, but to obsession. Not to freedom but to bondage. Not to love but to illusion. This is why discernment is essential on the twin flame journey. Because not every surge of passion is sacred. Not every intense attraction is divine. So in this chapter, let's unravel the dangers of misunderstanding sacred sexual energy and how to avoid confusing true union with unhealthy patterns. 1. Mistaking obsession for union. One of the greatest traps is mistaking obsession for love. Twin flame energy is magnetic. Pulls you in, sometimes against logic, reason, or circumstance. But if you don't understand the deeper purpose, you may mistake the intensity for destiny, even when what you're experiencing is actually attachment. Signs of obsession include constantly thinking of the other person without peace, feeling like your happiness depends entirely on their presence, neglecting your own growth or well-being in pursuit of them. Sacred union, on the other hand, is expansive. It brings peace even when apart. It inspires self-growth, not self-neglect. The difference is subtle but crucial. 2. Confusing physical desire with sacred energy. Another common danger is equating sacred sexual energy with sexual chemistry. Yes, physical attraction may be intense with a twin flame, but sexual chemistry alone does not make it sacred. Passion without consciousness is simply desire. Many people mistake lust for spiritual connection. They chase the high of passion, believing it is proof of divine union. But when the physical thrill fades, they feel empty. True sacred sexual energy is not measured by intensity of arousal. It is measured by the depth of transformation. If intimacy leaves you more aligned with love, purpose, and authenticity, it is sacred. If it leaves you craving more without fulfillment, it is not. 3. The trap of addiction. Because the energy between twin flames is so powerful, it can become addictive. People crave the intensity, the ecstasy, the feeling of coming home. But addiction is not the same as love. Addiction drains. Love replenishes. Addiction takes. Love gives. Here's a simple test. After being with your twin flame, do you feel alive, inspired, at peace? Or do you feel anxious, restless, needing more? If it's the latter, you may be caught in addiction, not sacred union. 4. Spiritual bypassing. Another danger is what spiritual teachers call bypassing. This happens when people use the idea of sacred sexual energy to justify unhealthy behavior. For example, excusing toxic relationships because it's my twin flame, using sex to escape pain instead of facing it, avoiding personal growth by clinging to the connection. True sacred sexual energy does not bypass healing. It demands it. If the relationship is harmful, if boundaries are crossed, if respect is absent, that is not sacred, no matter how intense it feels. 5. Ego hijacking the energy. Sacred sexual energy is meant to dissolve the ego. But ironically, the ego often hijacks it. The ego may say, I am chosen. I am special because of this connection. I must possess this person to prove our love. Our union makes us superior to others. This is dangerous because sacred union is never about superiority or possession. It is about humility and service. The moment ego takes over, the energy distorts. 6. Example of misunderstanding. Consider this scenario. A woman feels intense attraction to a man. She believes he is her twin flame because she cannot stop thinking about him. They enter into a passionate relationship, but it becomes chaotic. Arguments, jealousy, power struggles. Each encounter leaves her drained. She insists, it must be sacred. Otherwise, why would it be so intense? But the truth is, not every intense relationship is a twin flame connection. Sometimes, it is karmic, meant to teach lessons, not to unite. The danger lies in confusing pain-driven cycles with divine purpose. 7. Rhetorical pause. So let me ask you, are you chasing passion? Or embracing transformation? Are you clinging to someone out of fear of loss? Or expanding into love regardless of outcome? Are you mistaking intensity for sacredness? These are questions every twin flame seeker must ask. Because misunderstanding sacred sexual energy can trap you in cycles that delay your awakening. 8. The shadow of sacred sexual energy. Every light has a shadow. With sacred sexual energy, the shadow often looks like jealousy and possessiveness, sexual dependency or manipulation, using spirituality to justify unhealthy dynamics, losing oneself in pursuit of the other. This shadow is not meant to condemn. It is meant to be faced. Because only when the shadow is acknowledged can the light of sacred union truly shine. 9. How to discern the sacred from the illusion. So, how can you tell if what you're experiencing is truly sacred? Ask yourself, does this connection bring me closer to love, truth, and authenticity? Am I growing as a person because of it? Do I feel empowered or diminished? Is my heart expanding or contracting? If the answer leans toward growth, empowerment, and expansion, then you are likely experiencing sacred sexual energy. If it leans toward dependency, contraction, or fear, it may be illusion. 10. Closing reflection. The dangers of misunderstanding sacred sexual energy are real. Many seekers lose themselves chasing passion, confusing obsession with union, or letting ego distort the connection. But here's the good news. Every misunderstanding is also an opportunity. Every shadow reveals where more light is needed. Every mistake teaches discernment. Sacred sexual energy, when honored, does not bind you, frees you, does not consume you, transforms you. It does not inflate the ego. It dissolves it into love. So the invitation is simple. Honor the energy. Respect its power. Use discernment. And remember, intensity alone is not sacredness. Transformation is. Chapter 8. Practices to nurture and cultivate sacred sexual energy. Up until now, we've explored what sacred sexual energy is, how it manifests between twin flames, and the dangers of misunderstanding it. But now comes a crucial question. How do you nurture it? How do you consciously cultivate this energy? Especially when your twin flame is not physically present. The truth is, sacred sexual energy is not only activated in the bedroom or during union, it is a living current inside you, a force you can connect with, expand, and direct. When nurtured properly, it becomes a source of vitality, creativity, and spiritual awakening. This chapter is about the how, about the practical, conscious practices that transform sacred sexual energy from an overwhelming force into a powerful ally on your twin flame journey. 1. The shift in perspective. First, nurturing sacred sexual energy begins with a shift in perception. Most people see sexuality only as an act between two people. But sacred sexual energy reminds us that sexual energy is life force itself. It flows whether you are partnered or not. So the first practice is recognition, understanding that you already carry this divine energy within you. The twin flame connection may awaken it, but you are the keeper of it. This recognition liberates you from dependency. You no longer wait for your twin flame to ignite the fire. You realize the fire is yours to tend. 2. Breath work. Awakening the flow. One of the most powerful tools for nurturing sacred sexual energy is breath work. Breath is the bridge between body and spirit. It can calm the nervous system, expand awareness, and move energy through the chakras. A simple practice. Sit or lie comfortably. Inhale slowly, imagining energy rising from the base of your spine. Hold for a moment at the heart. Exhale gently, sending the energy upward through the crown. With practice, you may feel tingling, heat, or waves of energy flowing. This is the life force. Awakening without physical touch, without external triggers. Breathwork teaches you that sacred sexual energy is not limited to physical union. It can be nurtured through conscious awareness. 3. Meditation and visualization. Meditation allows you to tune into subtle energies. Visualize a golden light coiled at your root chakra, gently awakening. With each breath, see it rise upward, touching your sacral solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. You can also visualize connecting with your twin flame energetically. Imagine sending love from your heart to theirs, receiving their love in return. Even in separation, this practice strengthens the bond and keeps the energy sacred rather than obsessive. 4. Tantra and conscious touch. Though often misunderstood, Tantra is not about elaborate sexual rituals. At its heart, Tantra is about presence. It invites you to slow down, to experience every sensation as sacred. A simple touch of your own hand against your heart, done with mindfulness, can become an act of Tantra. For partners, conscious intimacy may involve maintaining eye contact during lovemaking, breathing in sync, slowing down, savoring every movement, treating every touch as prayer, not performance. This shifts sex from 3D desire into 5D union. 5. Creative expression. Sacred sexual energy is creative energy. It doesn't want to stay locked in the body. It wants to flow into expression. Nurture it by channeling it into art, writing, music, dance, or any form of creation. Many artists throughout history unconsciously tapped into sexual energy as their muse. When you create, you transmute raw desire into beauty. You allow the life force to serve not just you, but the world. 6. Movement and body. Awareness. The body is the temple of sacred energy. Practices like yoga, qigong, or even simple stretching help you stay aware of the energy flowing inside. Certain movements, hip circles, spinal waves, fluid dance, awaken the sacral chakra, where sexual energy often rests. When done mindfully, these movements are not just exercise. They are rituals of awakening. 7. Honoring celibacy as a practice. Sometimes, nurturing sacred sexual energy means not expressing it physically. Celibacy, when chosen consciously, is not repression. It is cultivation. By redirecting sexual energy inward, you build a reservoir of life force that can fuel creativity, intuition, and spiritual growth. This does not mean denying desire. It means honoring it, holding it, and channeling it upward rather than outward. Many mystics use celibacy as a path to higher states of consciousness. For twin flames in separation, this practice is especially powerful. It prevents obsession while allowing the energy to deepen within. 8. Keeping the energy sacred. Another vital practice is intention. Ask yourself, What is my purpose in nurturing this energy? Is it to chase pleasure? Or is it to expand love, healing, and consciousness? Keeping your intention sacred protects you from distortion. It prevents the energy from slipping into obsession or misuse. Simple rituals, lighting a candle, saying a prayer, dedicating your practice to love, can keep the energy aligned with its divine purpose. 9. The twin flame connection across distance. What if your twin flame is not with you physically? Can sacred sexual energy still be nurtured? The answer is yes. Many twin flames report feeling each other's presence energetically, even across continents. By tuning in during meditation or dreams, they share energy that transcends physical distance. But here lies a caution. Never use this as a substitute for personal growth. Energy connection is real, but it must not become an excuse to avoid living fully in your own life. Instead, see it as a reminder. The bond exists, the energy flows, and your task is to channel it into becoming the best version of yourself. 10. Closing reflection. So, how do you nurture sacred sexual energy? You breathe with it. You meditate with it. You create with it. You move with it. You honor it, whether in intimacy or in solitude. Because ultimately, sacred sexual energy is not something you use. It is something you become. When you cultivate it consciously, you stop chasing your twin flame for fulfillment. You begin to embody the wholeness that union represents. And in doing so, you prepare yourself not just for reunion with your twin flame, but for reunion with your own divine essence. Chapter 9. The higher purpose of sacred sexual energy in the twin flame journey. Up to now, we've explored sacred sexual energy as personal experience, passion, healing, awakening, union. But what if this energy is not only about you and your twin flame? What if it has a much larger purpose, one that extends beyond two individuals, reaching into the collective, the earth, and even the evolution of human consciousness? Because here is the truth. Sacred sexual energy in the twin flame journey is not just romance, not just intimacy, not even just healing. It is mission. It is service. It is the balancing of divine masculine and divine feminine energies on a planetary scale. 1. Energy beyond the personal. Most relationships remain in the personal sphere. Two people loving, building, perhaps creating a family. But twin flame sacred union opens into something greater. When twin flames merge energetically, whether through physical intimacy or deep spiritual connection, they generate a frequency. This frequency does not stop at their aura. It ripples outward, touching everyone around them, and contributing to the vibrational field of the planet. You've probably noticed it. When you are around a couple radiating true love, the room feels lighter, more alive. Now imagine that multiplied by the power of twin flames. Their love is not just personal, it is collective medicine. 2. The balancing of divine masculine and feminine. For centuries, humanity has lived out of balance. The divine masculine in its distorted form has dominated. Control, power, aggression, suppression. The divine feminine in her wounded form has been silenced. Disempowerment, repression, invisibility. Twin flame sacred sexual energy is one of the keys to restoring this balance. The divine masculine learns to channel strength into protection, structure, and purpose. The divine feminine reclaims her flow, intuition, and creative power. Together, they weave balance not only within themselves but within the collective consciousness. Their union becomes a living example of harmony, showing humanity what true balance looks like. 3. From personal pleasure to collective service. Sacred sexual energy is creative energy, and creation is never only for the self. When twin flames cultivate this energy consciously, it fuels their mission. Some channel it into art, teaching, or healing work. Others simply radiate it into their communities through their presence. In this way, intimacy is no longer just for pleasure. It becomes prayer. Each act of sacred union is not just two bodies meeting, but two souls aligning with divine service. 4. Example. A ripple effect. Consider this illustration. A twin flame couple, after years of separation and growth, finally reunites in sacred union. Their energy is so high, so harmonized that friends and family around them feel inspired without even knowing why. People begin to resolve conflicts, heal relationships, or pursue long-forgotten dreams. The couple did not preach. They did not teach. They simply radiated. This is the ripple effect of sacred sexual energy. It touches lives without words, simply by being. 5. The planetary dimension. Let's widen the lens further. Sacred sexual energy is not only personal or collective, it is planetary. Earth herself is a living being. She carries masculine and feminine energies, and she too seeks balance. Every act of sacred union between twin flames is an offering to the Earth. It anchors higher frequencies into her grid. It assists in healing old wounds of patriarchy, war, suppression, and division. This is why many mystics say that twin flame unions are rare but crucial. They are not for entertainment but for evolution. They are part of Earth's ascension. 6. Rhetorical pause. So ask yourself, could it be that your passion is not only for you but for the world? Could it be that your intimacy carries the power to shift consciousness? Could it be that your union is not just about happily ever after, but about fulfilling a soul mission? These questions shift the narrative from romance to purpose. 7. The danger of forgetting the purpose. Of course, one of the greatest risks is forgetting this higher purpose. When twin flames mistake their connection for ordinary romance, they may fall into cycles of obsession, dependency, or ego-driven love. They get lost in the physical thrill and forget the spiritual mission. This doesn't diminish the connection, but it does delay the purpose. Because sacred sexual energy misused becomes just another form of desire. Only when honored does it fulfill its role as divine service. 8. Practical ways to align with the higher purpose. So how can twin flames consciously align their sacred sexual energy with its higher mission? Set intention. Before intimacy, dedicate the energy to healing for yourselves, for the collective, for Earth. Heart-centered practices. Always bring the energy through the heart chakra, ensuring it expands love, not just desire. Service-oriented living. Use the inspiration from union to fuel your mission, whether that's creating, teaching, healing, or simply embodying love. Grounding. Anchor the energy into daily life, so it doesn't remain abstract but becomes action in the world. 9. Example from ancient wisdom. Ancient traditions knew this truth. In Tantra, sexual union was not about pleasure but about merging with the divine. In Taoist practice, sexual energy was seen as the elixir of life, cultivated for health, longevity, and enlightenment. Twin flames are the modern reminder of these ancient teachings. Their sacred sexual energy is not for indulgence, but for transformation, personal, collective, planetary. 10. Closing. Reflection. So what is the higher purpose of sacred sexual energy in the twin flame journey? It is to remind us that love is not small. Love is cosmic. It is to restore balance between masculine and feminine energies within us and on Earth. It is to transform intimacy from personal pleasure into planetary service. When twin flames unite, they don't just heal each other. They heal generations. They heal the collective. They heal the Earth. So, the next time you feel the fire of sacred sexual energy, remember, this is not just about passion. It is about purpose. This is not just about union. It is about mission. And through that mission, the world itself begins to transform. Chapter 10. Sacred sexual energy as a gateway to divine union. We began this journey by exploring sacred sexual energy as passion, as healing, as transformation between two souls. But now we reach the deepest revelation. Sacred sexual energy is not only about the union of twin flames. It is ultimately about the union with the divine itself. Because beyond the longing for your twin flame, beyond the merging of masculine and feminine, lies a truth far greater. The love you are seeking has always been the love of Source. 1. The longing beneath the longing. Think about the ache you feel for your twin flame, the nights of yearning, the dreams that shake your soul, the intensity that nothing else can satisfy. Now ask yourself, what is that really? At its root, the longing for your twin flame is a mirror of the longing for the divine. The same fire that draws you to your counterpart is the fire that draws you home to Source. Sacred sexual energy, when honored, becomes the bridge that reveals this truth, that every desire is, at its deepest level, the desire for union with God. 2. Beyond the personal. When twin flames merge, the experience is often described as otherworldly. Boundaries dissolve. Time disappears. The sense of me and you fades into a vast oneness. This is not just romance. This is divine union breaking through the human experience. In those moments, you are not only lovers. You are cells in the body of the universe, remembering the wholeness you never lost. 3. The Kundalini at the crown. We've spoken of Kundalini rising, the serpent fire uncoiling from the root. As it travels through the chakras, it awakens creativity, power, love, truth, vision. But when it reaches the crown, something extraordinary happens. The energy bursts beyond the personal field, merging into cosmic consciousness. This is why many describe sacred union moments as mystical. Visions of light, feelings of merging with infinity, tears of bliss that have no clear reason. The energy has fulfilled its purpose to take you beyond the body, beyond the relationship, into communion with the divine. 4. The paradox of two becoming one. Here lies the paradox. Sacred sexual energy is experienced between two, yet its ultimate destination is one. Two bodies merge. Two hearts align. Two souls ignite. But then in the deepest moment the two vanish. There is only one. One consciousness. One love. One divine essence. This is the secret of twin flame sacred union. It is not about finding completion in another. It is about using the mirror of the other to rediscover the completion you have always had in source. 5. Example of the gateway. Imagine two rivers flowing separately for miles. Each has its twists, its obstacles, its beauty. When they finally converge, they merge into one vast current that flows into the sea. That sea is the divine. The rivers are the twin flames. And sacred sexual energy is the confluence. The moment when the rivers remember they were always destined for the ocean. 6. The role of the heart. The heart chakra is the key in this process. While lower chakras anchor passion and survival, and upper chakras open vision and wisdom, it is the heart that bridges human and divine. When sacred sexual energy passes through the heart, intimacy transforms into devotion. The body becomes prayer. The soul becomes song. Without the heart, sexuality remains physical. With the heart, it becomes sacred. With the heart and crown united, it becomes divine. 7. Rhetorical pause. So let me ask you, have you ever felt intimacy that seemed to dissolve the world around you? Have you ever experienced love so profound it felt like touching God? Have you realized that what you seek in another is ultimately the mirror of what you seek in the divine? Yes? Then you have glimpsed the gateway of sacred sexual energy. 8. Why this matters for the collective. This realization is not just personal enlightenment. It is collective transformation. When twin flames embody sacred sexual energy as divine union, they model for humanity a new way of relating. Love is no longer possession, transaction, or ego play. It becomes worship, service, surrender to something greater than both. In this way, sacred sexual energy does not end in the bedroom. It spills into the world, into kindness, compassion, creativity, and conscious living. 9. Practices to enter the gateway. How can you consciously step into this divine union through sacred sexual energy? Intention. Enter intimacy with the prayer. May this union connect us to the divine. Heart awareness. Keep your focus on love, not just desire. Place your hands on your hearts, breathe together. Let the energy expand. Crown connection. Visualize light flowing from your crown, merging into the infinite. Gratitude. After intimacy, sit together in silence, honoring the sacredness of what just occurred. These practices remind you that the act is not only human but holy. 10. Closing reflection. So, sacred sexual energy is not the end of the journey. It is the doorway, the gateway. It begins with passion, yes. Flows into healing, yes. It balances masculine and feminine, yes. But ultimately it leads beyond even the twin flame, into the embrace of the divine. Because in the deepest truth, the twin flame is not your destination. Sources. The twin flame is the mirror, the catalyst, the guide. But the love you find there is meant to return you to the love that created all things. And when you enter that gateway, when you surrender completely, you realize Sacred sexual energy was never just about two. It was always about one.